Word up. Yeah. Night up in here catching wreck. Seeing the G, you know how we do. Up in Baltimore. Word is bond. Nobody can be God. That's right.
The thing off right.
Never ordinary, cause I'm always full of many styles emanating from my pulmonary. Couldn't walk in my shoes and you couldn't carry the weight of these dues that I paid extraordinary. I bet you couldn't see me cruise, so you shouldn't worry. Watch how we kill these dudes and abuse them daily. Everything we say is truth, and we gonna share these many jewels that we use to remove the scary. Always focused, but your vision looking kinda blurry. I'm a monster in the mind of my adversaries. Heavy pressure out of time, better find a levy. Intertwined.
Chill. We ain't even gonna do it like that. Welcome to Godsfault, man. Yeah, little taste, man. Welcome to Godsfault, man, with my man C the G.
You know what it is.
Davis, what's good, brother? What's good, family? How you feeling?
Hey, man, it's all love. It's all love. I'm here. You know what I mean? We alive. We, I can't ask for anything more, man.
That's it, man. Listen, man, yo, to all my listeners, man, this is my brother, sincerely from another mother. You know what I'm talking about? This is my man, 100 grand, man. Over 4 years, 5 years of friendship since you sung in my wedding. We're going to get into all that. Listen, if this is your first time joining in on Godsfault, man, you at the safest place online. I'm telling you right here now, this is the home of the comeback kids, man. We only here to share incredible stories. We want to hear stories of how you got up, if you was down and overcame, and how you got up with a purpose, man, and just hoping to inspire somebody who's on their back flat right now, that there is hope out here, man, that you can get up and keep it pushing, man. Don't let your situations define you, right? But let them design you to be better. Ooh, that was on the top. Ooh, that was on the top. Don't let them define you, but design you to be better. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, we here, man. We here. How you feeling today, brother? What's going on with you today?
Man, doing well. I got the boys to bed a little later than usual. But I had a conference call with some of my college classmates, and I was like, oh snap, I need to be on Godsfault. I need.
But
you know what I mean?
You know what? I appreciate you. Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, man, you are a busy brother. Listen, if y'all don't know who Mark Davis is, man, I've watched this man do some incredible things. He is an educator. All right. He is the creator of Frank and Beans.
And Frank.
The Beans and Frank. I always do that backwards, bro. And I had it right the first time. Beans and Frank. Yeah. Is that a pausable title now? I don't know. It's 2024. They pausing everything. Beans and Frank.
Hey, look,
you know what I'm talking about?
As we get into the conversation, I could tell you why we call them Beans and Frank instead of Frank and Beans, but we'll get into that later.
Did we definitely? Hey, no. Listen. We're gonna get it. Yeah. Hold that, because we definitely want to know that, man. You have just had an amazing presence for children and as a source of inspiration to a lot of people over your lifetime, brother. You definitely inspired me. And you've made me better as a person in a lot of different ways just by watching you and, following you as you chase excellence, I should say, in everything that you do. So, we appreciate you taking out, taking time out your busy schedule and just joining us for this episode, man. And we're going to get into it. I know I was going to send you some notes, but we wanted to continue on. I have my man, my childhood brother, IMLS from This Is Hip Hop Radio on here a few weeks ago, and we had the topic, is hip hop a deadbeat dad? And it was a conversation I wanted to continue with you. And I was going to prep you with some things, but I was like, you know what? Our conversations is always so fresh. I didn't even want to mess it up. I didn't want to murk it up because we don't do that any other time. I was like, yo, we just going to do it like we do it, and we just going to get into it, and wherever it go, we go. You know what I mean? Because, but before we get into all of that, though, because of the Beans and Frank is the right way to say it, right? Is that am I right? Okay. Yeah. Why did you go with that? Beans and Frank instead of Frank and Beans? Talk to me.
So, me and a colleague of mine who turned out to be a homeboy that, you know, is a brother for real. I started working with my mom at the New Mark of Excellence School, which is a private school that she founded back in '94. And in '97, one of her childhood friends brought her son around, who was attending Towson University at the time. His name is Charles Washington.
Okay.
And so, at that time at my mom's school, I still wasn't working there full time yet, but I was working with my mom's school in the summertime, and I had an idea to do a rap class. And the rap class, was like, all right, we're gonna throw on a beat, and then we're gonna throw out words and try to help kids freestyle, right?
Oh,
and
that's
you
dope.
know me now, I ain't never been a big freestyler. That's your thing, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, one of the connections that I've always had with children was our love for hip hop. And so my man, we just hired this young man from Towson University. He's about your age, maybe a year older or something. And that just tells you that I'm the senior on this call. That's what you see.
Yeah, I'm about to say, don't kill my, don't be. Don't listen, nah, girl, you good. That's crazy. But yeah.
So anyway, I have the idea, but when I throw it out there, he really helped make it the class really, a success, right?
Right.
And so he and I bonded from that day on around hip hop, and so we were solo artists. I rapped, my own stuff as Seen the G. He rapped on his own stuff as Czar. But we would always collaborate on stuff. And then for years after that, you remember the movie Something About Mary?
Yeah. I do.
So that's where it came from. Right? He loved that movie. So but we remembered Schoolhouse Rock coming up, right? Yeah. Remember Schoolhouse Rock? Conjunction.
Right. Yeah.
And all of the beautiful music that they made back in the 60s and 70s around educating children. And he was like, yo, we need, and that part in Something About Mary where they're like, Frank and Beans. So he was like, yo, we need to make a modern day hip hop version of Schoolhouse Rock. And I'm like, we were rapping together for years since then, up to that point. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. It's a good idea, but we never did anything with it until one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop messing around with it. Anytime I booked studio time and had him come there, he wouldn't show up for the studio time for a Frank and Beans session.
Right.
So what I did was I recorded so some of those songs that you hear from Beans and Frank where you hear me by myself,
right? That
was the earlier recordings before I actually convinced him to actually come and join in. So what happened was in 2006, MySpace was popping, right?
Yeah.
And so I recorded some Frank and Beans joints, right?
Right.
And we got a large following on MySpace. And I was like, oh snap, we getting a following.
Right.
And so I went to go and register the domain name. And I saw that the domain name was taken. And so I went to look at frankandbeans.com, and they were that was a gay porn site.
Oh, that's wild turkey, bro.
It's been Beans and Frank ever since, and I make sure that.
I told you it sounded a little spicy. That's where the pause came in. I said, yo, that's crazy, bro. Oh, wow. But let's not gloss over something you said this was when, 2006?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's not gloss over, you was already conquering social media in 2006.
Yeah. You know.
That's wild. I didn't even know that part. That's crazy. Wait, what was online? I'm trying to think. I think in 2006 I was only using the internet for porn. I don't think I was using it for anything. 2006. I didn't know there was anything else you could do on there. That's crazy. That's dope.
MySpace had this feature where if you get up to 10,000 friends, then people no longer had to request your friendship. They could just automatically become connected with you. And so,
that's dope. Let me ask you this, Ken. Are you still? I have a copy that you gave me stored in my Google Drive that every once in a while I break out, and I got to remember for my youngest grandson.
Of what?
Because he loves the dance of Beans and Frank, of the actual CD.
So there are two projects from Beans and Frank, because we recorded a lot more than what we released. But the two official releases were Ready for School.
Right. I have that one.
And Multiplication and Division, Volume 1. And
I feel like that were they on Ready for School? Because you have
No, because Ready for School was
I've heard
early.
It though.
Yeah, Ready for School was for early learners. Multiplication and Division, obviously.
What?
You don't start learning multiplication and division until like second, third grade.
Right. So and just I remember, you want to know what's crazy? I remember listening to these, right? And I thought I was something on the microphone back then, you know what I mean? I was doing faith-based rap at this time, and I thought, but I'm listening. I said, this not only is this man spitting fire, he's doing it with a manipulated voice, like sounding like a kid, and doing mathematics and spit. I was like, yo, this is insane that you can get this to go like this. Yo, that is such an underrated project in my eyes, because for where I just see that thing, like that thing is like here to me for just music, just lyrics. Like that's crazy. And you've always been a strong lyricist, and you teaching me even to this day. So that's why I said this man is a mastermind. You know what it is? It's like we pinky in the brain. I'm like, what are we gonna do today, boy? I plan to take over the world. That brain, boy, I told you the big. Yeah, no, seriously, that's respect though, because in our community, education isn't our forte culturally, so to speak. You know what I mean? That's what we led to believe. You know, I remember as a kid, I was bright, I wasn't gifted and talented and all these things, but because of my home life and situation, my mom was grinding. She had like 3 jobs, whatever. Pops was wilding. Nobody was investing in that. Yeah. And I could get by being lazy. I can get by. I go to class. Dude, I never brought home homework a day in my life, really, to do homework at home. I couldn't remember a time I had homework. I always passed. And even if it was like a C+, usually I average honor roll. No study. Just coasted. And I used to get in trouble because I would act out in class, so they kicked me out of the gifted and talented. And I was cruising with the regular people, like, My friends joking with me. They failing. I'm passing. I'm just cruising. They like, yo, you never do homework. How you passing? I don't know. I don't know, bro. But it wasn't cool to be a nerd then. I wish I would have been a nerd, because I remember a lot of the nerds that I was graduated with. They all right. I'm all right, but they all right. What I'm saying?
Right.
So, so that's so to know a brother like you, and I think that's part of the thing that made me respect you even more, because you were always totally you. You know what I mean? You wasn't afraid to be intelligent. And you wasn't afraid to let somebody know, hey, don't take that for granted now. Don't play around with me. You know what I'm saying? It's real out here. And I was like, yo, you can really do that? You can be both? So, nah, that's dope, man. That's dope. So, so speaking of that, and I'm gonna kind of use that to segue into this topic of is hip hop a deadbeat dad? Because I grew up with hip hop. My sister put me on, early to Tragedy, the Intelligent Hoodlum. That's one of the first artists from Queens. That's one of the first artists that I was really listening to, you know. And then niggas like Granddaddy IU. So it was Smooth. I don't know if you remember him, because this is
of course I remember Granddaddy
from
IU.
the Granddaddy, that King's Son. Shout out to Patterson, New Jersey. You did King's Son. I was listening to dudes like that, in the beginning, and then hip hop shifted and turned into something really really different over the years. Then it was the Coogee rap. I was listening to Coogee rap, of course. Big fan of Eric B. and Rakim.
Of course.
Milk and Giz. You know what I mean? Audio 2. I'm listening to all these brothers, and we used to get a little what's the joke? After Zulu Nation, of course, Melly Mel, all these people. I was listening to all that, but then the Sugar Hill Gang is from where I'm from, Inglewood, New Jersey, originally. You know what I'm saying? So I had a rich culture of early hip hop in the beginning on the East Coast side of things that,
Sure.
But it just gravitated. But I was really with my pops being in the situation that he was in, being a war veteran, Vietnam, he ain't come back right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and then with the issues of just being a black man in America on top of it, and then you coming home looked as a failure, you know what I'm saying? It was crazy. So, hip hop, I gravitated to, and I used to take a lot of the wisdom or the rules of life from hip hop. And instead of me becoming my own person, even with taking the good, this is wrong and the bad, whatever, I just kind of like Nas said in that line, I worship every word them broke rockin' niggas gave me. You know what I mean? Because it was just I didn't have any other source of I didn't have that I thought, you know what I mean? So, and that's what I looked to. So what was your experience with hip hop at that time, and do you feel like there's any legitimacy to the topic even as we speak?
Well, I think there's legitimacy based on your experience, right? My experience with hip hop was, I grew up in a really strict religious household, right?
Same.
My parents divorced when I was very young, and but living with my mom, the three of us, me, my brother, and my sister, we weren't allowed to listen to, back then it was called devil music.
Everything was the devil, bro. We get into that. Yeah.
We only had my mom in her record collection. The only secular music that was there was Dionne Warwick and
pretty much gospel.
Yeah. It was all gospel, but it was only secular was Dionne Warwick, and it was a single from I forget yo's name, but a 1 in a million chance of a lifetime. I forget his name.
Who was that?
But anyway, that was only secular records in the house. So But I remember my homegirl from church had a birthday party, and we went. My mom took us to this birthday party just because she was one of our friends from church.
Right.
And just as a little boy, we went in this party, and we listened to the radio. This song wasn't on the radio at the time. It was just playing at this party. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. I said a hip hop, hip it, the hip it, the hip
hop. Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is this? It's crazy.
Wow.
I'm like, yo, this is amazing.
Mind blown.
And I was hooked ever since then, man. It was just, it became a hit on the radio, and we would listen to the radio before my mom came home because we were latchkey kids,
Right.
And so I got hooked on hip hop back then, just in terms of the art of putting the words together. I love that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As you know me. I love it to this day. Like,
hey, look, can you remember first lines from the first rap that you ever did? I still remember my first rap.
I don't remember my first rap. I remember.
What's the oldest?
So me and my brother, when I started writing raps, and when my brother realized that I was really good at writing raps, he made us into a duo, the Deaf MCs.
Okay. Yeah. Like that's hard. That's hard. But all the old heads know what you saying when you say that. That's dope.
Right. We were the Deaf MCs.
Word. That's hard. I like that.
We used to do this. We used to perform this the same joint everywhere. A joint that I wrote. I wrote my verse and his and the hook.
Oh, this nigga was he was Easy E. Yo, we gonna rap. Just write the joints.
Him and our homeboy across the street. Before me and my brother started rapping together, he and our homeboy across the street was rapping together, and I used to write their rhymes. Like, they would come to me, like, yo, help me with
right.
Behind each other's back. They wouldn't be.
They wouldn't admit.
So when they rap it to each other, they're like, yo, that's hard.
Yeah. You wanna know what's crazy? Because now it's 2020. Look, it's 2024, and I still send you my like, hey, take a look at this, and you be like, boop, 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 boop. I be like, yeah, okay, yeah. So that's crazy. That's that you can't tell me that ain't your purpose in life to teach and to. Like, that's crazy that you said that. I'm sitting there thinking like, dang, I'm just another nigga just taking advantage of your brain. Pause.
When I think of 14 years that I was teaching English, you know how many thousands of papers that I proofread and edited.
Wow.
That's just
right.
I think that's just where God has me. Like, I still, as a little side hustle, help write people's papers in college. You know what I'm saying?
Word, so, yeah. No, that's dope. That's what I'm saying. So, like, it's like, you living in your purpose when it comes to that, as an educator, as a teacher, as a leader. You know what I mean? That's you can't get away from it. You can't get away from who you are.
Yeah, but I'm sorry that I always take too long to tell stories. But you were talking about hip hop being a deadbeat dad, and I was telling you about my experience with hip hop. So I didn't experience hip hop as like I didn't experience hip hop and influencing me to I'm trying to choose my words correctly, because anything that you listen to and that you repeat is going to, words are powerful.
Right.
That's why when you write words down, the way that you write words, they call it spelling.
Right. Come on now. Come on, teacher.
Your words are spells.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The things that you repeat and that you rehearse and that you believe are things that guide you. Right? They take you on the path. The things that you repeat and believe.
Right. That's why mantras.
They take you on the path. Yeah, exactly.
Mantras, and they become anthems. There's a lot like that.
Yeah.
Cash rules, everything around me. Cream, get that hook, them hooks like that.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And that's so. With that being said, right? That's why, like, I look at the condition of our culture today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like the whole phenomenon with drill music, right? How these young men in all the cities across America, where it might have originated in Chicago, but now it's here in my town, it's in your town, it's in major cities across the country.
Right.
And it all, you know what I mean? And a lot of these young men don't have fathers in the home.
Right.
But they picking up the message.
Yeah, and a lot of the young men aren't grounded in like spiritual principles, and so even though my dad didn't live with us, and I don't think that he personally shared a whole lot of spiritual principles that I could hold on to. I will say that my upbringing and the amount of men that I watched around that I caught on to the spiritual principles that grounded me. Right? I think that I was just drawn to the mantras about women that kind of, led me that way, where it was,
right. But I think that's
can we touch on it?
Yeah, I mean, we straight. Yeah, go ahead, dude. Speak,
so,
speak how you need to speak. Yeah, no filter. You good, brother. You good. Whatever you want the world to know, how you want them to perceive you is what it's going to be.
When I think about how many times I listen to bitches ain't shit but hoes and
tricks. Yeah, we both pause like, that's the other side, respect. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah. That album was crazy. That was on the Chronic album, right? That was the Chronic album. Bro, Chronic album. Whew.
Crazy. I like to say that, because back then radio was regional. Stuff didn't hit radio all around the country at once. It was a campaign, and I remember coming home that Christmas of '92, and I had the Chronic cassette tape.
Yeah.
And I was playing it, and they was like, "Yo, who is this?" And I'm like, "That's Dr. Dre from NWA."
Yeah, that's crazy. But but that's kind of what I'm saying though, because even at that time, I remember that era, and I remember that's the time where I was peaking sexually as a teenager.
Yeah.
So, and my mindset kind of went to that, because I didn't have anybody teaching me about. I didn't have a Birds and Bees talk.
Right.
Music showed me. Media showed me. I didn't have that conversation. So that's kind of how so when you hear a song as powerful as that, mantras, bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks, it don't leave you respecting them. So where the conflict came from me at is that I knew my mother and my sister and my cousins, you know, my aunts and people, the women that I loved in my life, my grandmother, my heart, they was none of that what they was talking about.
Right.
So even though I'm looking my youthful desires and stuff, looking at them and justifying, yeah. But inside of me, I had an inner conflict already because I knew that just wasn't so.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I didn't have anybody to guide me at the time to say, hey, that's entertainment. That's not reality. That's just a song. You know, the women are the earth. They're responsible for bringing life into this world. You know what I mean? Right. They're valuable beyond measure. You know, I didn't have anybody speaking into my life like that.
Right.
So, but even though I had the examples of them women were in my life. So that's where the duality had came with it, and even with a lot of things in hip hop. But then I tell you like this, I remember when I told, you know, my mother, I was like, yo, I'm a rap. I probably was like in the 3rd grade.
Right.
Mom, I'm a rap. Oh, baby, you know, you can't do that. You know, the church is the devil. You know, she's just trying her best to save my soul. You know what I'm saying? And you want to know how disappointing that was at that time? I immediately had beef with God and everything else associated with the church and all that, because I'm like, what? I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I can do this. I'm good at it.
Right.
You know, I'm Nigel Ski, not Christopher Reeve or Superman, acting stupidly. When I jump on the stage, I come in the rage like a trapped in the cage. Or something I was saying, brother. I wrote that like 7, 8 years old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I was ready, Ma. I got this. I can do it. And they like, nah, kill it, squash it. And it was like, it was such like, and I was like, the devil? It's the devil music? I was very confused about that. How could the devil be behind? I was a fiend before I became a teen. I know the microphone, the poetry was crazy. What are you talking about? This is beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
You hear those
like,
words they put together, man?
Bruh, the lyrics is crazy. So for me, that's where it really, you know, so even with that, you know, that rebellion, you know, that natural rebellion that children develop because of their discovering life at a time, and now they're conflicting with, you know, their parents or guardians or whatever because they don't see the world through their eyes. And if you're not a wise parent, you're not paying attention to how they're beginning to perceive the world.
Sure.
You see what I mean? We're trying to force, and if you're a parent, like, you know, my children grown now, I got grandchildren now. You're just starting out, and your boys are already amazing. I like, they're on another level, man. So you're doing something totally different. Like, I'm doing that now with my grandchildren. That's what I'm, you know. But you only as a grandparent, you only have so much time and influence.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to start having children in my 40s. So I've already learned the lessons from my 20s and 30s. Who knows what, you know, my children would have been like if I would have had my own seed in my 20s.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's wild. Like, it always makes you wonder when you see things like, it's amazing, like when they talk about Abraham in the Bible, right? Think about this. He didn't even drop his seeds, and he was like, what, almost 100 years old?
Right, 99, yeah.
And right now we think that's absurd. We think like, oh, that's crazy talk, blah, 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 whatever. But just the premise of being an older parent, like when you meet older parents, the kids of older parents, them kids are so well developed.
Yeah.
They're on another level because those older parents, more than likely at that time, if they decide to have children or ended up having children, or have it transpired, if they're any worth their weight in salt in anything, they already they have time to focus on their children. Young parents don't have time to focus on their children. They're trying to survive. They're in survival mode, and unfortunately, they're looking at their children like another expense.
Right.
You know what I mean? They out here looking like either use a bill or a meal ticket, depending on how they moving, which is crazy.
True.
You see what I mean? So
yeah.
Go ahead.
So let's take that back to hip hop as a father, right?
Okay.
So if hip hop as a father through, because you're talking about a deadbeat dad, right?
Right.
But
okay.
If hip hop just began, and they call it 72, right?
Right.
They say that the birth of hip hop was the year of my birth, which is 72. So the messages that you get from hip hop in its teens, because it really started in 89. So in 89 I was 16, about to turn 17.
Wow,
and
I was 13. Wow, that's crazy.
You think about that's when NWA was introduced, right?
Right.
Now, before then, you had a whole eclectic group of, all different types of artists and no one was promoted more than the others, except for once they, for any business, once they see that one artist works, like one, particular dish, like if you go to restaurants and they see, that hamburgers sell, then they're going to put hamburgers on the menu and highlight that on the menu, right?
That's right.
They see the pizza sells, hey, let's add pizza to the menu. So all of the different artists that we saw being put out there, it was, think of who was hot in 89 when hip hop was 16, almost 17.
Well, yeah. Well, we feel like KRS.
89. By 89, it was
no, that's Big Daddy Kane.
Big Daddy Kane, KRS, Heavy D, Run DMC, you know what I'm saying, De La Soul,
Eric B. and Rakim. Well, they was actually phasing out by 89.
Not in 89.
Close to it, but they was kind of phased. They was kind of phasing that style of rap. Those rappers was phasing out because by the 90s. But when the 90s hit,
Run DMC was phasing out because I remember they were trying to make a comeback with the Down with the King.
Down with the King. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But still, that was the in 89. That's when Rob Bass and them. DJ Easy Rock came with It Takes Two. That was,
it was in my neighborhood. Yeah, they was in my neighborhood. We used to have super soaker fights with Rob Bass. Crazy. He used to do drive-bys out the silver Benz, right on Palisade Ave, hunters down, catches coming from McDonald's. Yeah. That's crazy.
Let me look. What I love about the information age is that you don't have to guess. You can just look up.
What we're gonna do right quick? Go ahead.
What? Okay, I'm sorry. What?
No, what I was gonna say is, give me 1 second. I'm gonna pause it right here. Right.
All right.
Nah, it's Godsfault.